Okay, I think we're live. Excuse me. Yep, it's me, Commander Baron Wunzuki, coming to you across the intergalactic interstellar relays. Yes, once more. What are we doing? Well, I got a new ship. Check this out. Hey, Sirius. Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. You get to put first because, like, you were the first person here. That's like a medal and stuff. No. Okay, so this is what I've been doing myself. Look at this. Take a look at this. This is the Mooka. Yeah, you see, it's very nice. So this is the first time that I've ever got a beluga. I got it because I wanted to do passenger missions because they seem to make a lot of money right now, and it's just something that I never really explored before. So yeah, that's what these are. They're for the passenger missions. It is a big ship. I have to admit, I've got it caught in the mail slot twice. Flying the damn thing. So yeah, that was entertaining. Definitely.
They say you don't gotta go home, but you can't stay here.
So, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what almost happened to me. Serious, I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna get stuck. What's going on? It's not good. Yeah, and yeah, all kinds of stuff, you know. But it's that back end that does it. It's these things here. So you kind of gotta give yourself a little bit of more space going through, you know, away from the sides. And if you're not directly flat going through, then these things get caught, and yeah, that's where you get stuck, and you kind of have to be moving around and trying to, you know, stuff out. But yes, so this is the Mooka. It's named after the Juton Mookas. If you don't know who they are, you can look them up in the lore of the game. They're a cute little ferret type thing that apparently dies at the smallest shock. So that's why I needed that. It's not a combat vessel in any way, shape or fashion, but that's what I've been doing. I've been playing around with the beluga and seeing what I can do with that. So yeah, it's been backs of fun, you know. Hey, Claude, have you still not changed your name back? How long do you have to wait for that, mate? Yes, having your landing gear down does make a difference, Sirius. It really does. You have to kind of, you know, take that into consideration when you're doing this, flying this beast, this monster of a vessel. Officially, the largest vessel in the game is the beluga. There is no other ship that's bigger than it, unless you class the big ships, you know. Kaithina, all hail the goddess. Look, Kaithina, I bought one at the end. I bought a beluga in the end, and look what I called it. Yep. Well, I was already flying a cutter, so, you know. Well, it's funny you should say that, Acklord. Maybe we should talk about the whole thing why I put that up there. I can't see it. What are you trying to suggest? Hey, what are you trying to suggest? So, we're going to be, serious, that the Beluga handles like a dream. I was shocked. Yeah, it handles much better than, I was about to say a cutter then. I would even say it's better than an Anaconda. It's just amazing. And I stuck dirty drives on it, you know. It's all about the E3, Swifty. It's all about E3. So, Acklord, Sirius Kaitina, Swifty, welcome to the stream. If you're watching and you've not said hello, come and say hello. It doesn't hurt. All these people are really nice and friendly. They'll have a chat with you, and you know. So, what am I doing today? Well, we're going to discuss something. We're going to have a look at a subject that is kind of steeped in a lot of history and a lot of lore of Elite, and it's you know, it's something that people aren't really talking about very much these days because a lot of people don't believe it's in the game anymore. But we're going to talk about Raxxla, and I'm going to kind of run through what Raxxla is, where it comes from, what the connections are in the game, and then I'll tell you what I think. Yeah, there's a lot to go through, so we'll kind of get through it bit by bit. Yes, it's right on the tip of your tongue, Swifty. It's right at the end of your nose. So what is Raxxla? Okay, so back in the day, there was a game called Elite 2 Frontier, and when this game came out, it had with it a book, a little small book that came with the game, and that book was called The Dark Wheel. And the Dark Wheel is basically kind of like a backdrop to the game that was there at the time. And in this book, it talks about the riders, and they're... Oh, I think I've just lost my my Firefox. So I just lost my music. No! What is going on? Okay, so whilst I load that up, so yes, so there was a book called The Dark Wheel. Did you play that? Is that something that you played, Acklord? You play Elite 2? Okay, good. That's fine. That's cool. That's all good. There we go. Okay. And the music's back now. There we go. It's all good. So, yeah, so back in the day they had a book called The Dark Wheel. Now, believe it or not, you can actually... I'll just look it up because I got the link here. You can still go and read it. It's online. It's online for you to read. Which I was quite shocked. You might like Elite 2 better than... Really? Better than Elite Dangerous? Really? Why is that? Okay, so there is a link to The Dark Wheel. So you can actually go and read it. It's there online for you to see and read. And like I said, this was a backdrop to Frontier Elite 2. And The idea was that you read it and it gave you information about the game you were being played. You're being honest, so Kaithina, you preferred it too, really? Wow, this is quite interesting. Okay. So why is it? That's a really good question. Why? Why did you enjoy it? Why are you enjoying Elite, the original Frontier 2 game, more than, you know, the other game, the Elite Dangerous game? That's my question. Hey Tigsteruk, welcome to the stream. So yeah, so that was the original book. Now in this book, it talks about the riders, and meow. Okay, so it had more interaction. You hired more crew. You chose how to pay them. You could interact with mission givers, land on planets, lots of things. Okay, so maybe they're trying to get to that point where it was like that, do you think? Maybe? What do you reckon? And everything else that Kaithina said. Okay. Fine, fine. Hey, Powers. Good to speak to you. Okay, Tigster. Maybe that's something we need to look at doing on that that retro stream of yours, Swifty. Yeah, you got a few Frontier 2 players here. Maybe they want to be a part of that, yeah? So the combat in Frontier 2 was terrible, though. I have to admit that. It's not a patch in ED, but because it used permanent FA off. Oh, yes, yes, it did, yes. Okay, Tigster, we'll have a look at it in a bit, mate. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to post up a link to the Frontier forums. And this has a link to what's called the quest to find Raxxla, and this pretty much has all the information of what in-game has existed for Raxxla so far. So I'll post that up so people can have a look at it. Alright, and we'll kind of just go through what Raxxla is supposed to be. So the first time that we heard about Raxxla was in this book. Oh, they're too old, Swifty. Oh, what a shame. Cool. Okay, so the first time we heard about Raxxla was in this book, The Dark Wheel. And in that book, I can't remember, it was Jason Ryder, I think his name was. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll have to check again. Yeah, Jason Ryder. There we go. Okay, so Jason Ryder, he's the son of what was Jason's father? I'm trying to remember his name now. It's gone. It's not there. Anyway, so Jason and his father are flying out in space, and for one reason or another his father gets killed by pirates, and Jason has to fly away. Horse rider. Oh, is his son's Alex, is it? Ah, that's what it is there. That's the other way around. I've got it mixed up, our powers. I knew I had it mixed up somewhere. So I've not read the book in bloody ages. So Alex Ryder, his father Jason Ryder gets shot by some pirates, and it's about what happens to Alex afterwards, because he discovers that the reason why his father was killed was because his father may have known where Raxxla is, where and what Raxxla is. And there's lots of connections in the book, there's lots of explanations in the book as to what Raxxla might be, but it is always referred to as a mystical place, a legend, if you will. And quite often, whenever you talk about Raxxla, you often refer to a saying that people say with Raxxla. And in fact, this saying has been used in the game before, and they say that it's a place that isn't a place, a key that is also a door, a myth. So that's really important, because at times people thought, well, you know, how much of this is actual lore? How much of this is actual lore that is involved in the game? And a lot of people are still asking that question, you know. How much of the Dark Wheel and its story is lore in the game? So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go on a bit of a journey and try and show you what is in the game that might have reference to it. Simple as that. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Shinrata, which I believe is way up here, because I'm in Liabes right now.
Ship released. You are clear for departure.
New California, that's Liabes. So the Baron von Zumsky story in Elite starts in... oh my god, I'm going to wait for this thing to come through. Jesus, come on. And willpowers, we're going to get onto that. We will get onto that. Oh, for Christ's sake, come on. Okay, right, that's it. You're going to get knocked out of the way. Get out of the way. There we go. So yes, we're going to start off by going to Shinrata. So a lot of people for a lot of time have been asking the question, is Raxxla in the game? And there's a lot of crossover with the story of Salome, Requiem, Reclamation. What was his name? Drew Wagner's book. I forgot it off the top of my head. Anyway, he wrote a book, and it's the whole Salome story with Harry Potter and all that. And a lot of people think there's a connection to it, but the truth is that Drew really didn't have much to do with Raxxla. But he did say that he spoke to Braben about it. Drew Wagner.
Temperature critical.
And yes, Drew Wagner is the guy that FDev brought in to write the story of Salome. Yeah, so the Formidine Rift mystery and all that powers, that's Drew Wagner. That was all him. And in fact, he even played Salome in the game as a character. You could actually talk to her. You could send her messages and she'd reply. So he said that he spoke to David Braben about Raxxla, and the only thing that David Braben said was, okay, take the seat a bit. He didn't say that. He said that Raxxla was in the game and FDev knew where it was. So that's the first real piece of information that we ever had about Raxxla. Raxxla existed in the game. We knew that it was there. We knew that it was somewhere. We didn't know where it was. And, you know, because of that, a lot of people started looking for it.
Temperature critical.
And those of us who knew a little bit about the lore of the game, those of us who had read some of the former books and things, began to ask questions about how much were books like the Dark Wheel actual lore in the game. You know, because there's more story about, you know. You found Tamagotchis in Walmart.
4, 3, 2.
Right, okay then, Raxxla. Cool. So, yeah, so lots of people started to ask, you know, just how much of the lore of this, of the Dark Wheel, actually existed.
Warning. Temperature critical.
Yes, it's not on the maps. They say that in the book. Well, they do kind of see that, and that's really the question we need to raise: is what's going on here? Yeah, you know, why haven't we found it? Why hasn't anybody actually discovered it yet? Why is you know, it not been found? And what's causing that to happen? And I'll sort of go through what I think is happening, because I've been searching for this for a while. I've been searching for certainly Raxxla for a while. Why is my... Okay.
Warning. Temperature critical. Fuel scooping. Fuel scoop disengaged.
You think it's real life? Now you see, that's another theory that people have said, Swifty. People have said that Raxxla isn't in the game, it's somewhere in real life. You know. They've looked at anagrams. They've also looked at the word Raxxla meaning Roman numerals, so referring to some numbers as well. That's something else they've looked at. So they've been all over it. I mean, they've tried lots of different ways to find this thing, and you know, it's not there. You know, some of the earlier books as well also refer to Raxxla as being a gateway. They say that some of the earlier books refer to the Raxxlians themselves, and they are like a lizard-type race who pick who can come into Raxxla by having combat with them, and only the worthy are allowed to actually join Raxxla. That's also in some of the books that have been previous, but they're not official lore. They're not officially part of the game. It's content that's been written in the past, but may not have been necessarily authorized by FDev. So the idea that Raxxla is not a planet, but it might very well be a gateway to another place, another universe, might be so. And that kind of fits in, because in the previous game, there was 8 galaxies. Now, Frontier says that those galaxies were all part of the same galaxy, it's just that the technology back then made it seem like they were further away. Yeah, that's kind of their explanation now as to why the old galaxy, the 8 galaxies, fits in with the new galaxies here now. But again, it's really difficult to ascertain, and it's really difficult to understand what we should really be reading, because we don't know here if what is lore and what isn't. And I'll talk about something in a moment that really made things interesting all of a sudden. But we're going to go to James's memorial first. So you've got to remember that the system Shinrarta, Shinrarta is a secret system. It's a permit-locked place that you can't go to until you become elite. And once you become elite, you're allowed in here. So it's not talked about. It's a secret. Is Shinrarta. Shinrarta in James's memorial, all that. It's a secret. It's part of the game that you're not supposed to know about until you reach a certain point in the game, a certain part of the game. And progression is a big part of this mystery. It really is. And I'll show you what I'm talking about as soon as we manage to get docked in this place. If I can dock this thing, because the last couple of times I've had some issues with the back end getting caught in the mail slot. So let's get the Mooka sat down in its dock, and then I'll show you what I mean by progression and how important it is. Come on, a little closer, come on. So I have to keep away from the sides, keep it as flat as I possibly can. And there we go, we're through.
Landing gear deployed.
Boom! Okay, so let's look. I believe Raxxla is a planet, it's in our space, and there is a portal on the planet or orbiting the planet that should take us to other galaxies. Maybe so. There's also the possibility that Braben was lying. That's true, maybe he said it, because it is supposed to be a legend, you know. I think the points are most likely being in Shinra somewhere. It could just be a portal to space, a planet of which space? Who knows? Raxxla is a planet with a system called something else rather than a system called Raxxla. In that case, there are thousands of permit-locked systems out there. It could be in any of them. You're right. And you know what? I sort of partially agree with you, Kaithina, but I'll tell you what my theory is at the end. Me and Powers have spoke about this before, yeah, and he knows what I think's going on. But I'll tell you what's going on, what the evidence is first, and then I'll show you what other people are doing to search for Raxxla, because the search for Raxxla is going on right now. There are people out there looking for it, and they have a very specific theory that they're basing things on. So, when you get into Shinrarta, Dog Simulator. So when you get into Raxxla, this is what got everybody excited. That they're a faction, and they're not just a player faction, they're an actual faction in the game. The Dark Wheel, they are there. So the story of the Dark Wheel is that at one point they actually had the location of Raxxla, and then they lost it. That's the lore behind the Dark Wheel. They used to know where Raxxla was, but now they've lost it for one reason or another. And the reason for that is all to do with Alex Rider. So Alex Rider had 2 sons, and those 2 sons, according to the lore, according to the books, one went off looking for things in the bubble, and mysteries in the bubble, and the other one apparently made the Dark Wheel, and you usually get those sort of missions, Swifty, from doing donation missions. They're the kind of things you normally do. So yes, so the second rider brother found Raxxla. That's the theory. That's the lore that's out there. Whether or not it's official lore by Frontier, we don't know. It's as simple as that. So yeah, that's the Dark Wheel. Now, early on in the game, probably about 1.5 years ago, Dark Wheel were actually asking for missions. They were asking for specific missions to do with Raxxla. They were asking you to go and get map crystals, they called them, because they were missing something. They were missing something in the game, and they were searching for something. And anybody who knew anything about the game would go to the Dark Wheel and go, "Oh, that's all about Raxxla. Oh, I need to know about that." And there was about, I think it was about 5 or 6 missions that you could do for the Dark Wheel, but they never actually produced anything. They never really produced any evidence or anything as to what was going on about Raxxla. So that really confused people. You know, nobody really knows what was going on. You know, why all these missions were there, and why they weren't offering any more information about what was happening with Raxxla. And all of those missions, you can look them up. You can look up all of the information with those missions on that link that I sent you in the Frontier forums. Simple as that. And they did do it. That's right, Powers. They were to do with maps. They were there to do something called map crystals. But they were really esoteric clues. Nobody really knew what was going on. Excuse me. So then, a chap called DJ Truthsayer, who is the leader of one of the largest. This is only about 1.5 years ago. I'm fairly certain. I think it might have been. Let me just check. When was it? No, it might be about 2 years, closer to 2 years. 2 years ago that you could do this. But you can't do those missions anymore. They don't give you those missions anymore, and I'll tell you the reason why in a moment. Because it's to do with a guy called Michael Brooks. Now, Michael Brooks was the guy in charge of story and lore in Frontier development. And which station is this? Where I am now, Swifty. This is Shinrata. This is Jameson Memorial.
Hey, Lucy.
My dad.
So Michael Brooks was in charge of story and Elite, and all the story to do with Elite and making sure that the lore of Elite was flowing. He was right there with the whole Drew Wagner story to do with Salome and the Formidine Rift. He was doing that things. Interesting fact: he's now left Elite's lore and story department, and he works now as part of the new Jurassic Park game story and lore. So that's what he's an expert on now. He's the guy who's working with them now on their story. Okay, so if you're looking to buy the new Jurassic Park stuff, you'll find there's actually quite a bit of story and lore in that game, and he's been involved in it, Michael Brooks. Maybe a T-Rex, T-Raxxla? Do you mean a T-Rex? Raxxla Park. You have, Swifty. Clearly you solved it, yeah. That's where it is. Okay, so Michael Brooks, he had an interview with a guy called DJ Truthsayer. Now, DJ Truthsayer is the leader of the Sovereignty. The Sovereignty is one of the largest gaming groups in Elite. In fact, it doesn't just cover Elite; it covers several games, and it doesn't just involve gaming; it involves musician and art as well. So, you know, he's quite involved. You ever get over to Twitch and have a look at his streams? He's got so much going on. He's a really interesting guy, and something I really like about him is that he inspired me to look more into the game lore and stuff like that. He is a real expert in the lore. He really knows his stuff. And he had an interview with Michael Brooks, and every time that DJ Truthsayer ever has an interview from anybody from Frontier, the first question he always asks them is, where's Raxxla? That's just something he does. And to everybody's complete shock and amazement, Michael Brooks replied, because usually they just say, no, we can't tell you. But Michael Brooks said, I can tell you 2 things about Elite. And I'm going to post up a link to the interview in case anybody ever wants to go and actually see it. There we go, that's it. So if you ever want to go and actually watch the interview with Michael Brooks, you can do. It's a very interesting interview because it talks about more than just Raxxla. It talks about lots of things of lore in the game. But Michael Brooks said 2 things about Raxxla. The first thing he said was, it is in the game, and to get to it has to be part of everybody's personal journey in the game. The second thing he said was, there will be no clues, but it has to be a little bit obvious for people to find out what they're doing. Hey Symbol, good to see you, my friend. Welcome to the stream. We're talking about Raxxla, your favourite subject. So yeah, so when that happened, that was huge, because everybody suddenly realised, okay, this isn't not in the game. It is in the game, but we don't know where it is. Nobody's found it yet. Yeah, and then something really weird began to happen. Well, he was right in what he was saying, Kaizina. I mean, I'll tell you my theories on it in a moment, yeah? But I'll tell you what's going on with everybody else and what they're doing, and maybe, just maybe together, we'll be able to get more information out of it. Okay? So straight away, we know now that Raxxla's in the game, which means 2 things. Yes, part of everybody's personal journey. Yeah? It could mean that, Swifty. My take on that was that it's about progression. So it's about this. It's about your rankings. I think that anything that represents progression in the game is part of it. So anything that shows you developing and growing and you know, gaining ranks and gaining allied, anything that gets you progression in the game is to do with finding Raxxla. That's what I think. Yeah, that's what I think he meant by that. So, you know, finding Raxxla is the power of friendship along the way. Good to see you, other guy. I am going to be screwed, but this was before CQC, remember, Kaizina? So technically I've got an argument, yeah. Okay, so let's go to the map and have a look at a few places. CQC is not dead, other guy. It is not dead. I agree with you. Yes. That's right, Swifty. Not everybody ranks up fully, but that doesn't mean that they can't. Yeah? You know, you make a choice here. It's your decision if you want to rank up or not. And how you want to rank up is up to you too. I know people who've got triple elite without actually grinding at all. They've just been playing the game for a very long time. Well, you say that, but I think it's actually a bit more complex than that, Kaitina. I really do. So, what we're going to need to do is get rid of these trade routes. There we go. Right, we'll go to the realistic map. There we go. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to go to a system that we're all familiar right now. Oh, wait up. Let's go to the lathe. There we go. That's the system we're all familiar with at the moment, because that's where the community goal is. That's where I've been doing submissions. And this area here is really interesting. Yes, everyone's journey, Swifty. Is it not everyone's journey to get to elite? Is it not? I thought that's the point of the game. So, these systems here are really important, because this is the original elite game. All these systems here is where you started. This is where you did things. It was all about Ore, Lave, Listi, Oruv. Yeah? You're still there, Claude. Good for you. Yeah? So all of this, as Powers correctly says there, all of this was the original game right here. In fact, this is what is often referred to as the core. Yeah? And it's the old core. This is where the power used to be in the universe, according to the lore. Right, so we'll be a psycho jockstrap. What, Swifty? Well, still face all okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about this. This is what I'm going to talk about here, because this is a big part of it. So in the original, remember we're trying to understand here what helps us to understand what is lore and what isn't lore. Is the Dark Wheel, the book, lore in Elite, or is it not? You know? So understanding that is important to look at some of the places. I mean, this is Tyrannisla. And Tyrannisla is really important because so something that's really important about Tyrannisla is that in the Dark Wheel book, it talks about something called the Tyrannislian graveyard. And this is a graveyard of old ships that are in the book quite exclusively. In fact, it's a real danger area because anybody who goes into the graveyard, like stealing ships and things, gets shot. You know, it's literally death, you know, on sight. And in the book, it says that you have to fly from the sun in the direction of New Caledonia, and you get to see the graveyard on the way. Now, I've been out here, and it's not there. I've been out here and I've looked at the asteroid belts, I've looked at all of these planets, trying to find the graveyard, and it's not in the game. And in fact, it's quite a common question of people asking, where's the Tyrannislian graveyard? Where is it? It's not there. And for a long while, people didn't understand what had happened to it until a role-playing game came out called Elite Dangerous Encounters. And in Elite Dangerous Encounters, it has lots and lots of lore, lots and lots of information, and whilst it's not officially Elite's role-playing game, by role-playing game I mean the tabletop role-playing game like Dungeons and Dragons, and whilst it's not the official role-playing game for Elite, it certainly has been vetted by them, and they have turned around and said that everything in that role-playing game is official. If you want to go and get it, you're going to go and buy it, there's a link to it. And it is packed full of lore and stuff like this. I have it, and I've given it a really good read. And in there, it talks about the Tigsteruk graveyard. And it says that somebody's purchased it. Now, if they vetted it and said that everything's right, everything's absolutely spot on in there, that makes it official lore. And if it's official lore, it means that not only the Dark Wheel, and the story of Raxxla, and now the Tigsteruk graveyard, not only are they lore, but the Dark Wheel book itself must be lore, because it's dealing with more than one piece of information from that part of the game. Do you see where I'm coming from? And that's really important, because now the book that primarily talks about Raxxla has lots of references and lots of connections to Elite. And because it has lots of connections to Elite, it means that it becomes officially lore. So we can use that book to begin to learn more about Raxxla itself. And that really sparked off well, you know, funny enough, Kaithina, do you know one of the biggest problems with this whole Raxxla thing is?
Because at party...
Oh, I absolutely clicked on the wrong thing there. That wasn't good. Okay. So the biggest problem with all of this is to do with Robert Holdstock. Now, Robert Holdstock is the guy who wrote it, and he worked with Braben early on in the Elite games, and he's the guy who came up with the concept of Raxxla. He's the guy who came up with the idea that there was this planet out there, there was a legend, and you could try and go and find it, you could try and discover more about it. Yeah? And you know what the problem is now? He's dead. He's not alive. And we know that in the past, things have been put in the game to sort of like, you know, as a sort of nice eulogy to people who have died, who have been involved in the game previously. So one of the arguments against Raxxla is that it actually doesn't exist in the game, and it's just a really nice way of remembering Robert Holdstock. There's another link to the Dark Wheel. That's an actual PDF that you can download and take a look at. It's crazy. But, you know, doing missions for the Dark Wheel and knowing that the Dark Wheel are in Shinrata and you have to become Elite to get to the Dark Wheel tells me that this is about progression. It's about progression in the game. You have to do stuff in the game to get to the point where you can begin to look for Raxxla. And that's what people are doing. People are actually looking for it right now. They're trying to figure out where Raxxla is. They're actually beginning to try and... Oh, sorry, let me just read that. I think here it comes down to how much. Well, that's why a lot of people now say that it's not there. They've stopped looking for it. And they stopped looking for it because FDev have gone quiet. They've gone literally silent on the subject. Now that means either one of two things. Either you're absolutely right, it's not there, there's no point looking anymore, what's the point of going and having a look? And I'll be honest with you, I don't spend every hour of every day looking for Raxxla. I don't. Yeah, I do other things in the game, but I keep my eyes and ears open. That's what I do. And I have my own theories, and I'm trying to work towards them slowly. Yeah, but my theories don't just encompass just Raxxla. They also cover other things too. So yeah, it's either not there. Yeah, it's either just not there in the game. Yeah, or people are very close. So it's a case of the cup is half full, the cup is half empty. Which one do you want to believe? Which one do you want to, you know, go with? You tell me. You tell me if you believe it's out there or not. You tell me if it's still a part of the game. Do you think, Powers, that it's something that's coming? Is it something that we're going to see very soon in the game? Do we think it's something that's going to be part of content in the future? Maybe. What do you think? In science, the cup is always half full. You say hope it's out there, but you wouldn't go looking for it. I'll wait till someone with more belief actually finds it. Okay. So Swifty says that it might already be there, but it's locked away somewhere. Maybe, yeah. Powers says he thinks it's coming. It may not be there in the game, so it's a big question. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right, mate. Yeah, you know, your guess is as good as mine. But let me tell you what they're doing right now. Okay, I'll tell you what it is that they're actually doing right now to search for it. So we're going to go back to the galaxy map again. And we're going to go back to Lave. So, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'll try and look it up. When does it occur? Yeah, 3125. Okay, there we go. Right. So in 3125, and remember we're in 3304, is when the whole Dark Wheel story occurs. So what people are saying is that if Alex Rider discovered it, how far away was he capable of going in his 3125 technology vessel from Lave, considering that this is really where it was all kicking off. In fact, they probably say it's from Towns, because that's where he was based. He was based in the graveyard. So people are trying to work out right now how far away that ship would be able to jump and work from there, ring by ring, outwards and outwards, trying to discover where Raxxla is. The whole salami thing. Solomé, okay. Solomé. No, what happened there, Kaithina, was that people's expectations went through the roof. And then when they had the ending that occurred, it was a massive letdown for everybody. So people thought it was going to be a huge thing, and it actually turned out that somebody got shot and nobody could really get involved in it because of the instancing problems, and loads of people felt that they'd been let down by the whole Salome thing. The truth is that Salome was there to facilitate the big reveal that is the club in the lore of the game, and that's all it was there for. Yeah, I mean, all right, Drew Wagner got a couple of books out of it, yeah, which you can go to the Frontier store and buy, but that's about it. Yeah, and it was the letdown that was the problem, not so much the, you know, FDev fucked up the release of it or anything like that. You know, I believe later on we'll be able to ally with that wheel, and then it would provide us with maybe. I still think it's to do with progression. I'll explain why in a moment, but I think it's to do with progression. So at the moment they are traveling. They're trying to travel out in circles outwards. Remember, we're looking at 3D here, so there's a lot of systems to look at, and they're trying to work out how long it would have taken Alex to find Raxxla, to go to Raxxla in the technology from 3125. Now, 3125 technology, they didn't have super crews. Yeah, they had jump capable vessels, and that was it. So you can imagine it's a little difficult for them to do so. It's a little difficult for them to find this. So that's what people are doing right now. They are searching for Raxxla by starting off in the general old core, and they are going out in increasing circles, trying to figure out how far a vessel like the Cobra Mark III, because that's what they were flying back then, could go back in 3125. The general consensus is that it could travel for about 9 light years. But there are some problems with that. There are some staggering, huge problems with that, because the Argents, which are another part of the lore, made even better vessels that had longer jump range. So we don't know if they were involved in some way, and if they were, how far then did that ship go? You know, they're stuck in a bad situation now. They say Raxxla's game, they can't reveal it because it doesn't function yet. They have a large player base with hundreds of hours invested. But yeah, whatever they do will be... Well, that's the issue. That's the problem, Powers. That's the really big problem, is a lot of people have invested a lot of time, including Canon. Canon have gone out and searched for this thing, and we know how good they are at finding things. Yeah. So, you know, how much time have people spent looking for Raxxla, and where are we up to, you know? Why's my music stopped? I don't know why my music stopped. But I still think that Raxxla is here in the circle, so to speak. Sorry, in the core, in the bubble. I think that it's right on our doorsteps, you know. Yeah, exactly. Well, exactly kind of thing. It was set like 75 years after the Dark Wheel story itself, and you discover the thing about the riders by playing the game, and what happened to them and what they did. So yeah, this is only like 104 years ago, which in Elite lore isn't an awfully long amount of time. Yeah, you know. They have, yeah. They've said it's a place that isn't a place, a key that is also a door, a myth, a legend. So what does that tell you? It doesn't exist? Is that what they're saying? Yeah, that's fine. That's good. That's all right. If that's what you want to believe, and even in the books, it talks about people have spent far too long and have died searching for Raxxla. You know, like whether or not it even exists. You know, it's not clear whether or not it does, but the Dark Wheel believe it does. Yeah, and that's the important bit here, is that there are people who do believe in it, and if they do believe in it, that means they're prepared to throw power and weight behind it. And if that is the case, we as players need to think how that affects our game, you know. When the next version of the game is ready, maybe so, yeah. So, here's my take on it. Here's what I believe. Yes, part of everybody's journey, Swifty. This is my belief. I think that in this universe there are lots of secrets, and there are lots of permit locked places. Some of these permit locked places you can get into. Some of them, the background sim for actions caused by PCs have meant that the people you can get the permits from are locked in their own system. Yeah. Get your Raxxla tickets today, only $79.99. For 1 year access, only 1 year. God, I better stock up on all the stuff that I can get from there. So, there's lots of permit lock places. Now, you can unlock these permits. And how do you unlock them? Well, you go and become allied with the people that give you those permits. Maybe so, Kaithina. So that tells me that if you want to get into places that you can't get into just yet, it's about progression in the game. It's about doing something in the game. Now, I'm going to go back to that puzzle, that riddle. I'm going to say that riddle again, and I want you to have a think about what it means. And I'll ask it in a way that you guys can understand it as being a riddle. So when is a place not a place? When is a key also a door? What do you think? No answers? Nothing anybody can think of? So I remember when it's made up, that's true, Swifty, that's true. You're absolutely right. Your opinion is just as valid as mine here. A place could be a state of the mind. You can be, yes. That's true. That's absolutely true, Kaithina. Daniel, I don't know. I don't know what that's about. Alright, doing Deckard Kane, good to see you, my friend. Maybe, yeah, absolutely. And another theory that somebody's come from is that it's virtual. It's a virtual world. So it's kind of like on a computer somewhere. Which I think is very ironic. It's a very ironic theory. Is that something you're playing on a computer is actually on a computer somewhere in the game. A key can be a passcode. You see where I'm coming from now, other guy. You can see why some people have said that it's not a place you can visit, it's an actual virtual environment somewhere in the world. That's why I've been interested in the utopian movement. You know, these people who have been recording people's consciousnesses and putting them on computers. Yeah? A place that isn't a place? Well, it wouldn't be. It's virtual. A key that is also a door is a passcode. You're right. A myth, a legend. Yeah. CQC is Raxxla, confirmed. Maybe not, but that is a standing theory. Is it's a virtual place that it's in a computer, and that's not hard to comprehend when you look at the lore of Elite, because in the lore of Elite, AIs exist, yeah, and AIs are out there. We know there are AIs who work for the Thargoids. We know there are AIs that destroyed the Guardians, and we know they're out there somewhere. So they're like millions of years old. Both those AIs are millions of years old. We know that there are AIs that exist in human space because we've had AI robots that have run companies. Yeah. So whilst the lore of Elite says that generally AI is shunned upon, it doesn't mean it's not there in the game. It is. AI is there. It's a very prominent part of the game. You know, the Federation have just turned around and told everybody that they're going to make a lot of their ships automated. You know, human AI relics. Yeah. That's deep, Kayathina. That is deep. That is really deep. A simulation within a simulation? Oh, my mind! It's breaking apart! That makes me laugh. So, here's my theory. And you can tell me if I'm talking complete bollocks. So I had a chat with a guy called Mordu once, who was part of the Magpie Mafia, and he said something to me that made an awful lot of sense. Take a look at what I have on the screen right now, and begin to think of that riddle again. When is a place not a place? When it's not on a map. When is a key also a door? When it's the key to a map. When is a myth a legend? These are all references to maps. What was the Dark Wheel searching for in its missions? It was searching for map crystals. Why would it need map crystals if it already had a map of the universe? Because Raxxla is not on the map. Raxxla is there, but it's not here. It's not here on this map. Yeah? So it's either just doesn't exist full stop on the map, and I don't know how the hell we're going to find it, or it's not named Raxxla on the map, and we have to try and figure out through what's happened in the lore previously. Yes. Powers. Dark Wheel's ultimate intention is to find Raxxla and keep it hidden away from everybody else. And people talk about Raxxla having people already there, and in fact that the original Dark Wheel are there and they're not telling anybody. Yeah, so that's another theory that's been thrown out there. Maybe Raxxla is the map. Well, maybe that's the case. Yeah, maybe that is the case. But I think that progression helps to give us more clues about what's going on this map, and I think that permit locks are a part of it. Is understanding who gives the permit locks. Remember, we've got this big sign up here, Universal Cartographics. They're an actual company in the game. You can't go and ally yourself with them though, unfortunately. You can ally yourself with some of the old people that they are linked to, but you can't actually go and ally yourself with Universal Cartographics. Part of the Federation controls permits. This is why FSD can't jump. Yes, you're right. The Pilots Federation does control permits. Yeah. But you've got to remember that the FSD comes from the Sirius Corporation. So who controls the software that's on the FSD? Is it the Sirius Corporation? Or is it the Pilots Federation? Sorry, is it the Sirius Corporation or the Pilots Federation? Yeah. You now begin to understand that the search for Raxxla is not so much a search for Raxxla, it's more an understanding of who's actually running things in the game. And this, to me, is the real story of Elite. People say there's no story to Elite. Well, there is, and this is it. Yeah? The story of Elite is a shadowy story about who controls what, and who has the information on what, and who's doing what in the background and the shadows of the game. You look at some of the most interesting things in the game. Dav's Hope, for example. You go to Dav's Hope. It's a mystery, Dav's Hope. It's a mystery waiting to be solved, and nobody's solved it yet. Yeah? What is it? What happened there on Dav's Hope? What was the mysterious Site B? What did they find down there? And why was it that the corporation turned around and wanted to blow the whole place up? Yeah? Exactly, Powers. There's a lot of different people involved with Raxxla. You got to remember too that some of those factions are player factions, so they may not officially have any part of the game, anything to do with that particular part of the game, unfortunately. Yes, Kaitina, you're right. But they do give information. They do give information in Galnet. The problem is they do it in such a shadowy, cloak and dagger way that you have to read between the lines of what's going on. Yeah? And sometimes they only give little small clues, and you have to wait for the next Galnet article to give you the next clue. Yeah? Now, if you're into the story, like I am, yeah, then it's great, because you like, you know, it's like just buying a comic book every week. You get a new piece of information about what's happening in the game you're involved in, you know? Swifty, you make a really good point there. How much involvement is Raxxla with the Thargoids? The only link that has been mentioned is that if Raxxla is not a place, then maybe it's not a place here. Maybe it's a place in Witch Space. And as we all know, the Thargoids travel through Witch Space. They travel through Witch Space and literally do things in Witch Space, whereas we just use it to jump from one place to another. So I think, my theory is that it's something to do with the map. I think that what we have to do is, we have to look at the maps that were in official lore that is older than the current game, and see if we can find differences. See if we can find some place that's hidden away. Yeah? I know for certain that I can travel from one end of the bubble to the other, and I am constantly finding systems that I have not explored yet, that I need to do the whole honk my horn to get you know, the information from those places. So if that's the case, maybe that's what I need to do. Maybe that's something I need to look at, is to begin to map out the bubble, especially in these places around here. Yeah? How many of these systems are connected in some way to it? How do we know? And not only that, like Kaithina says, is it locked behind a permit somewhere? Maybe Raxxla isn't reachable with current FSD technology. Maybe it's literally in the dark wheel around the edge of the galaxy. You know, I never thought of that, Kaithina. I never thought of that. Yeah, and this is a really good point to make. Collaboration and talking with each other about what it could be is a really important part of this. You know. A dark wheel is tireless. That way it won't get a flat. Oh my god. Oh, dearie me. Welcome back, Claude. Oh, dearie me. So, yeah, so I'm thinking that the next thing I need to do is to begin to look at these older systems here and have a look at the systems around them, and just begin to map out a whole lot more of what's happening in the bubble. So LaveCon happened over the weekend, and we saw a bunch load of new stuff that's going to be coming out. And one of the things is these sensor probes that you can fire over planets, and they will, in their scanning arc, they will search for everything on the planet and tell you everything that's down there. Now, when I say everything, if there's anything like a Guardian site or a Thargoid base, it will come back with an anomaly, and you'll have to go and investigate those anomalies. And for the first time, I think it's going to make finding things that other people haven't found yet easier. Oh, exactly, Kaithina. I mean, how many other games do you know where they talk about something as being a legend that may not actually necessarily exist in the game, but people think it does, and it drives them to do something? Jess! Halo? Really? Like what, Jess? Explain. Oh, you're saying Ola. Okay. I thought he was telling me Halo. I thought he was saying, oh yeah, they do that in Halo. Spanish typo. Oh my dizzy head. Okay. So everything that I do in this game is, I think that I kind of do it to keep my ears and eyes open about things that are happening in the game that may be interesting. You know, I use Galnet and things that Galnet says to discover things. You know, like, has anybody read this one about the artwork that's gone missing? A valuable piece of art has been stolen by a mysteriously and highly skilled criminal. The theft took place in the Garden City Gallery on Turner's World in the Iliath system. Sergeant Femi Abraham of the Municipal Police discussed the incident. Our security specialists are currently at a loss how to explain this occurred. The piece in question was inside a titanium vault surrounded by plasma grids, proximity alarms and thermal sensors. This morning we found the vault door open and all security systems disabled. On the wall was spray painted graphic of what looked like a winking cat. Yeah. There is no cow level Deckard game. Have I ever shown my face on the internet? What you mean, like on a webcam? Only if the price is right. Okay, video. Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. You have what? What, Jess? Wait, what? What are you doing, Jess? What are you doing? But my point here is that if you look at this Galnet article, you know, it's got all this it's got all this story here. So all we have of this is to go to Alioth and look at this place. That's it. That's all we have. That is the only fucking clue they give us. Yeah? So when you're trying to hunt this stuff down, my god, it's difficult. All we have here is to go to Turner's World in Alioth, and that is it. That's all we have. What you do out there is up to you. Do we hang around and listen to people talking at the nav beacon and see if anybody's trying to sell off artwork? Yeah, you know? Do we try and see if there's a landable planet somewhere that we can have a look around on? You know? It's just, there's just not a lot to go off on the Galnets. The clues are there, but there's not a lot to go off. And a really good example of that was the League of Reparation. I've followed everything on that League of Reparation story, and I mean I've gone to all the places where all the stuff is supposed to have happened, and I have searched and scanned and landed on planets and everything, trying to find any information I can about the League of Reparation, and it's difficult, you know. It's crazy. Kaithina, I'd love to be able to believe you. You know, that there's a mission out there that you've got to recover some rare artwork and it turns out to be the artwork we're talking about. I'd love to be able to believe you, but I don't get it. I don't believe it. Because all of that stuff is randomly generated. You know what I mean? And yeah, you know, if we saw some evidence in the past where they'd done that, and like the only evidence we've seen is the missions that the Dark Wheel were providing. I've not really seen anything since then, and that was, what, 2 years ago? So, yeah, you know, it makes me sigh, but at the same time, I like the fact that they're putting story in, yeah? So, you know, to me, finding Raxxla is about exploring the universe. It's about progressing. It's about unlocking permits. It's about reading Galnet articles. It's about going out there and actively searching. And I think really that's a good thing, because like you said, Kaithina, it drives you forward to do stuff. Yeah, but Shredz, they were slightly different, weren't they? Yeah, I get where you're coming from with the Paling missions, because they literally came up in your thing in the top left-hand corner. So, yeah. Yeah, I suppose you're right. They can do it, of course they can. Of course they can do it, yeah. But I'm waiting for it to happen. I've not got anything up there, and I've been to Alioth since this happened, but taken a look around and not been able to find anything. Yeah, exactly, Kaithina. You know what I mean? And every so often you do get stuff in the game that points you to places that are hidden away, you know. And that's the thing, Powers. You know, the stuff coming out from LavCam, that looks like it will make things a lot easier. For the first time, we're not going to have to literally circumnavigate a world flying at about 2K, looking down, looking for anything that looks weird, yeah, to try and find some of these hidden bases and stuff. You know, for the first time, we'll just be able to fire a probe and go, cool, I found something, off we go. Yeah, and I bet there's tons of stuff that have still not been found in this game. You know, that people are still searching for, still looking for, and all that kind of stuff, you know. And Raxxla is a really good example. You know, people haven't found it, and I think the reason why they haven't found it is because it's not there. Powers, it already exists. So there is a nothing like a good probing. Powers, there's a player group called the Children of Raxxla. And the Children of Raxxla have a spreadsheet. I'll see if I can find it actually and post it for you. And on this spreadsheet is all the information to do with Raxxla. Bear with me. Have I got it? There it is, yeah. So what the children of Raxxla did is they made this. And it's a system description database. So they have all these systems on there, and there's a fair few. Yeah. And there's tons and tons and tons and tons of information on there. And they created this as they were searching for Raxxla. It's a lot of stuff, isn't it? It's a lot of stuff. That's not the only thing they did too. They did something else too. Oh no, I've not got that. Never mind. Yeah. So there's tons of stuff in there. Tons of stuff. So people are doing real research into this, guys. They're really looking for this place, trying to find it, yeah? You know, and like I said, it's not been found yet. And I think the reason why it's not been found yet is because it's either not on the map, or it's on the map, but it's under a system name that isn't what it should be. You know, you get these people who they make maps and they make these pretend streets or pretend places, so that if somebody copies the map, they could turn around and say, ah, well, that place doesn't actually exist, and that's the reason why I put that in there, is to stop people copyrighting my work. Yeah, they used to call it something when they did Streets of London. They used to call it something. I can't remember what they're called now. But I think it's like that. I think that the details of what Raxxla is and where it is needs to be found on the map first. That's my personal opinion, you know. Maybe so, Powers. I don't know. You know, I've not created that, so you know. There's a lot of things that are very mysterious about Lave. Lave has a permit-locked planet, Lave 2. I personally think that's where the graveyard is now. I think that's where that guy bought the graveyard and put it on there. You know, but what's going on there, we don't know. And we know that they'll release it at some point. There'll be storyline reasons to learn how to get to it, you know. But the search for Raxxla continues. And I'm hoping that the things that I've spoken about... Yeah, it's just that, no, it's not specific to Raxxla, but it shows the information that they're looking into. Go on then, Kythena. Go on. The RA system? Why? What's going on there? Maybe so. Maybe so. Let's have a look at it now. Goes up to 14. Oh, right, 8D. Okay. This looks like a perfectly normal moon to me. Do we need to go out there and have a look at it? Yeah. You see, that's my point, though. If you look at, you know, Canon and all that, they've had like, you know, 20 or 30 pilots out there flying over the top of, you know, these worlds and setting up report sheets so that we can report any findings we find of Guardian sites and things. You know, it takes a massive group effort to be able to find these places most of the time. It's just a very... Oh, I see. Right. Okay. I understand what you're saying now. Yeah. Yes. Yes, you're right, Kaithina. Yes. You maybe go all the way to the system map and do that. Yeah? I thought you were being serious. But, you know, when we get this stuff at the Q4 this year, it means that that whole process will become a lot easier. And I think that a lot of things will be found that have not been found already. And hopefully, I think that Raxxla, or certainly clues to Raxxla, could be a part of that. You know, I think that somewhere, somebody knows something and they're not saying anything. There are secret goals going on. And these are the people you need to look out for. It's the Dark Wheel. They're the ones who are searching for it. That is everything the Dark Wheel are about. Is those guys. So the Dark Wheel, everything they do, everything they are about is about Raxxla. And it's keeping an eye on those. But I'll be honest with you. You know, we're here in the middle of tourist spot. Here we are in the middle of Shinrata. Yeah, I've never been to these other places. You know, I've been over here. This is where I concentrate when in Shinrata. I've never actually been to these other places. I've never been on this planet or that planet. Yeah, or this one. I've never been to these places. You know, and visited some of these places. You know, maybe I should. Maybe that's something I should do, is go and have a look at these places. And that's what's really great about Elite. You can spend so much time having a look for stuff and discovering things in game. And that's the really good thing about it. Have any of you guys been to any of these places? These are the planets. What's that one? Simple as that. So, you know, that's something else. I've unlocked so many permits now in the game that I haven't fully investigated all of them. I've investigated quite a few. So I got all the permits that are available. Except maybe a couple. One of them's the CQC one. I'm sure Jess will remind me. So I've not been to everything there, you know. The only time I go to a moon is when I need materials. I have literally booked that one as multi-cannon world because it has almost all the materials needed for ammo synthesis. Why am I not surprised, Kaithina? Yeah, why am I not surprised? So, I will continue to progress as best as I possibly can, and I will continue to search the universe. What I'm going to do next is, like I said, my next plan is to begin to actually map out the bubble, starting at Lave. I've been spending a lot of time there because I've been helping Lave out, as have many of you. So I'm going to be beginning to spread out and basically get as many of these places mapped out as I possibly can. Okay, Powers. So that's my next plan, is to do that, is to begin to investigate a whole lot more of these places, and really keep an eye out on the game and see what's happening with it. It's as simple as that, you know. So you don't have to devote a tremendous amount of time to it. I've also been earning money whilst I've been doing this, and yeah, now I've got a passenger ship, so that's good. I can do some more passenger missions, stuff like that, and I got some other things planned too that I'm going to get involved with. And if you want to be involved in what I'm doing here, just look me up in the game, Baron von Zoomski, you know, add me. And I've been more than willing to help in any way that I can. So on that note, we're going to bring the stream to a close. If you've not done so already, please like and subscribe. It does wonders for my channel and indeed my ego. Thank you very much for coming along and having a chat with me. I wanted to talk about Raxxla and the things that I've been up to try and find it. If you look in the description of this video, you'll see a few Discord servers, including my Discord server, the Magpie Mafia Discord server, and Ineffectual Gaming's Discord server, which is otherwise known as Monkey Tennis, and that's the one that Swifty spends most of his time on. So that's fantastic. And also, speaking of Swifty, his link to his channel is there, including a bunch of other content creators. Shredz channel's on there too, and Tigster. Get yourself over there, go and like and subscribe to their work. It's really good content. So, thank you very much, Commanders. And remember, no matter how hidden that Raxxla planet may be, we'll find it eventually, and they will never ever take the skies from us.